So the original Pet Sematary, the 1989 version from Mary Lambert, of course, adapted from the Stephen King novel. He wrote the screenplay. It's always been a movie that I've struggled with, I guess, mostly because I just hold the novel in such a high regard. It's probably my favorite Stephen King novel, and just in general, one of my favorite books. I love it, and so needless to say, I mean, the book adaptation, the film version, it's just a guaranteed disappointment. In a lot of ways, it was to me. I've always had problems with it, always struggled with it. There are a lot of people who will kind of say that it is one of the better horror movies out there and one of the better Stephen King adaptations out there. I wouldn't really say that. It's maybe just, again, because I like the novel so much, but I have my problems with it. What can I say? I did review it about 2 years ago, and I was actually watching my review of it to kind of see where my mind was at, because I did rewatch it this year, and if I can be my own worst critic, I do feel like I really was like fixating on like the cast of it, which, I mean, I'll stand by everything in that review. I do think the cast wasn't quite right, especially the girl, who was annoying, and the lead character. I mean, he just, I don't think he had the chops, and that's my opinion. But every time I watch the movie, I feel like a little less hard on it. I feel like I can kind of accept it for what it is, because at the end of the day, it does retain what themes the novel had, like the very key kind of elements to the novel. I mean, what it really is about, it is about this dilemma of, hey, if you had the ability to bring the dead back to life by whatever means, in this case it's a pet cemetery, an Indian burial ground, where you can dig a grave for your own, and they come back to life. Would you do that if you knew that there were if there was a possibility, or in this case, like a certainty that it would come with dire consequences? So I always found that very compelling, and I guess the movie grasped that fair enough. So I do feel like every time I watch it, maybe I'm a little bit more accepting of it. And I can accept it for what it is. One benefit to the sequel, Pet Sematary 2, which I wanted to talk about a little bit today, is that it doesn't have the source material. It's more of a sequel to the movie, and it has a lot of the same kind of feel to the movie, and kind of same kind of atmosphere, I guess. Very kind of, I don't know, just more like extreme, more kind of a creep show kind of thing, ghoul show, monster movie type of thing, where, I mean, the dilemma of bringing the dead back to life, that isn't really that big of a thing, where, like, seemingly, like, the kids in this town can bring the dead to that cemetery with the greatest amount of ease. Like, meanwhile, in, like, the movie, it was, like, an hour-long trip up the hills, up to the cemetery. Here, it's like any kid can go there and bury their pets, or perhaps loved ones in this case. So, I mean, that's where we're at with the sequel. Mary Lambert also directed it. Came about 3 years later, and maybe I don't feel as hard towards it because there isn't the source material there. It's more of a sequel to the movie, which, I don't know, I don't really have too much of a hard feelings towards this movie, I guess. I mean, I think it's okay. A lot of people say it's really, really bad, but I don't think so. I mean, it has a bad reputation. It's even kind of hard to find. I can barely find a DVD. I have to resort to the old VHS here. I think it's fine. I mean, it is cheesy, but so is the original movie, I felt. So I think it, keeps with that kind of atmosphere. And it tells a completely different story about a different family basically struggling with this dilemma of bringing the dead back to life. We have a kid whose mother is an actress. She was killed in a freak accident on set. She was electrocuted. His father brings him back to their hometown to kind of, I guess, heal, to find their roots or whatever. So it could almost be like a drama instead of a horror movie. So I think that's a nice concept to it. But then, of course, all the stuff with the pet cemetery kind of rears its ugly head, and we have a horror movie with a bunch of crazy stuff happening. We have bullies, old and young, kind of terrorizing the kids of this film. We have animals that come back to life, and we have people that come back to life as evil, crazy zombies, which, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think it's a fair enough movie. Good cast. I mean, we have Anthony Edwards, who's ER to film transition probably wasn't as good as George Clooney's. We have Edward Norton, who had a great career ahead of him with Terminator 2, this. I think there's some Jeff Bridges movie that was pretty good, and American History X. I love American History X. Then it kind of fell from there. And we have Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown is the saving grace of this movie. I think he's excellent. Clancy Brown, he's maybe like he's not like a household name, but you've seen him in just about everything. Probably he's most known for Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. So that's probably his most known role, apparently. But he's great in this movie, playing the cop in the town who's the old flame of Edward Furlong's mother. He's kind of like this never left high school type of personality, this sort of jock, this sort of father knows best, get me a beer and follow the rules, young man type of thing. And he has a stepson who's kind of a douchebag too. He's really good because at some point, this is spoilers, I guess, but at one point, he is killed by a dog who takes revenge because he killed the dog first. He's brought back to life. He turns into a zombie. He's fucking brilliant in it. He's great. So I think he's a saving grace of the movie. And there's just like a lot of creepy stuff in the movie, like the bully and stuff, and the whole dreams about the mother. Like there's a really kind of strange relationship between Edward Furlong and the mother character, which almost like borderlines on like incestuous a little bit. So it's kind of creepy in that sense, but it doesn't, in like the most thin type of way, deal with that same kind of dilemma of bringing the dead back to life and kind of the power of this Indian burial ground compelling those who use it, basically. So I think it's fine for what it is. It's stupid, it's silly, but I mean, I thought the first movie was too, so I think it complements it nicely. We never got another Pet Sematary movie after this. I'd like to see more. I'd like to see a remake of the first movie and kind of see where it goes from there. Maybe even a mini-series. But Pet Sematary 2 is fine. I mean, this isn't a rave review. It's stupid. It's passable, but I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people say it is. So if I can say anything, that's how I feel about this movie. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. That's all I really have to say about Pet Sematary 2. Not a bad movie, but check it out. Check it out if you like the first one too. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Visit Derek237.com. Stay tuned for more horror movie reviews to come this month in October. And until next time, stay scared, and I'll see you later.